So today we're playing another science fiction adventure using the SHADOWSPACE RPG by Karsten Rossner, and I'll talk more about that and introduce you to the characters right after the intro. Hi folks, and welcome to Sharp Mountain Games. Here we talk about group role-playing games, solo role-playing games, and there are plenty of actual plays in the playlist. You can check out our print and PDF products at Amazon, Lulu, Drive-Thru, and Roll20, and they're all linked below. Let's get started, and we're glad you're here. So today is another science fiction episode of Star Agent-87, and I'll introduce you to these folks. Let me just tell you about the role-playing game that we're using. We're using SHADOWSPACE, which is a space opera version of Shadow Dark, or compatible with Shadow Dark. Now, it's not an official Shadow Dark publication, but it's by Karsten Rossner, who is also SOLOSPELUNKING here on YouTube. And really, he's been one of my main inspirations, along with some other folks, for solo RPGs and the solo RPG channel. So that's where we're at. So you can get this on Amazon. I have it linked below. Also, I bought the hardcover because I wanted a nice solid copy. But there's also a paperback version that's a little bit cheaper, easily affordable. Easily affordable. It's less than you're going to pay for a meal at Taco Bell. Guarantee you. So let me just set the rules aside here in case I would need them. I don't know if I will, but in case I want to reference them, I'll have them here. And then I have to also get out my solo RPG oracles and tables that I sometimes use. And let's introduce you to the characters so we can get going on the play, because that's what you came for. Not all the coffee announcements and stuff like on the old-time radio programs. So this works on Shadow Dark, so it should be very familiar to anybody who plays either 5e or any, especially OSR systems, because it's a little bit simpler. You have your hit points, your armor class, you have your bonuses for your abilities. And one thing that's kind of neat is that the skills are done with advantage, which is roughly adding a +3 or +4 anyway, but it's fun to roll 2 dice, certainly. So that's an easy way to do skills. And then I just have some combat info. And then if they have any special abilities, like Star Agent Rick Ranger crits on a 19 to 20, and he gets 1 reroll per game. I have to find a way to keep track of that. So that's our main character. And then we have Tiana Angel Star, who is kind of like a Vulcan, sort of. She has some psionic powers, or powers, you know, like in Star Wars, you could consider them through the Force. But she's also very adept at nature, which is science in this game. And you could rename them if you wanted a more like a more Star Trek feel rather than a more Star Wars feel. And then, of course, her combat information over here. And then let's see. Then we have RMD, who's our medical robot. And, of course, he's kind of a skill jockey. He has a whole lot of skills built into him. Not so much for combat. Not so much in combat, because he's a medical robot. He's a doctor, not a fighter. So let me put my cards up here. I just put them on my keyboard, you know, so that's easy for me to see. Now, here's what I would say. If you get any good ideas and you enjoy this video, and I hope you do, I really hope that you give solo RPGs a try on your own. And you might say, well, I don't have that rule system. Use whatever rule system you have or you're comfortable with. Well, I don't have all these little toys and stuff. You don't need them. All you need is maybe some paper to write some things down to keep track of hit points and stuff like that. If you like to journal, I really do. I always record these in journals. You can do that as well. But please, I want to encourage you to give it a try. You know, to use an analogy, there's so many people who watch like football and baseball games and whatever, however you spend your free time is your business. But wouldn't it be better to go out and shoot some hoops or play a little touch football or something like that, because it's just so much more fun when you're doing it. So please give solo role-playing a try. So I have my character cards here. I'll put those away just so they're not in the way. And let me give you a quick recap of what happened last session. So Rick Ranger and his new partner, Tiana is his new partner. He's not sure how he feels because he's kind of always been a solo agent for a long time. I'm getting a little bit of a glare there from the light. Sorry about that. I haven't figured out my lighting perfect yet, but maybe one day I will. And So he's always been kind of a solo, more a James Bond sort of individual guy, but he has a new partner. And they were sent out to find a Dr. Weston who had a research area. They were studying gravitic anomalies and a sector way out towards the edge of the galaxy, way out towards the galaxy's edge. He was sent out from Earth by his supervisor, Commander Biggs. And when he got there, they were attacked by an assassin robot that was left behind, and they barely got by with that. In fact, Tiana was hurt. Oh, and along the way also they encountered these star whales. And you could see I went a little cheap. I just made one with some Legos I got. And in fact, I got the Legos at the Goodwill, so I'm really cheap. But she was taken out, so I have to roll to see how many rounds she has before she passes away. Now, I'm going to say 1 round has gone by since the doctor tried to rescue her, and Rick did, 3, so we're going to make that 2. So the doctor has to roll to stabilize her. That's a medicine roll, and then I'm going to say he can give her a med pack. Now, I don't know if, I might add a little house rule here, and let's see. Well, let's just make sure he can get her stabilized. So he's got 2 tries, but with advantage to get her stabilized. So he's good on that 19. The 3 wouldn't have been very good. He would add his intelligence bonus, but that's plenty over. So he gets her stabilized. Now, he's going to use a med pack when they're back on the ship. And what I'm going to rule, the med packs do 1d6, but I'm going to let him do 2d6. Let's say I will give him another roll. I'll make him do a roll to do 2d6. But he's a doctor. He's using ship system. I think 2d6 would be very realistic. So unless he failed both of these, which he did. And does he get a free reroll? He's going to use his luck token and burn his free reroll. So let's see. I'm going to have my luck tokens. Who gets free rerolls here? Only he and Rick. So I have some little squares here, and you're going to keep me honest. I'm going to take away his reroll here. Yeah, I'm giving him every opportunity. Nope. Okay, so only 1d6. I've got to follow the dice, even if I don't like him. 6. Okay. Okay, because she needs some hit points. She was down to 0. So she's got 6. So this could be a little bit tricky, a little bit tight as we move forward. All right, so they are heading out, and let's see. We're going to have, I don't remember if I did it last time, but we're going to have to make a systems operation roll. I'm going to let the doctor make that as Rick is piloting the ship, and Tiana she's just recovering here. So I'm going to say it's going to take a little time for her to recover. So he's going to make a science roll or a systems operations roll. That's the doctor. And so he says to Rick, he says, I have her stabilized. I definitely have her stabilized, and she'll need a little bit more rest, a little bit more recovery. And he says, but let me scan to see if we can get a signal where that assassin robot was coming from. And yes, he does. Good. So he detects, and they had plugged into the computer. He had also plugged into the computer. So I'm going to say he definitely gets this information that there was another, like a small sensing station on an asteroid way out at the edge. So basically way out by where Pluto would be for us, or past that. There was another, kind of like their Hubble Space Telescope out there to study these gravitic anomalies on the edge of the galaxy. And that's where they're headed. Now, I have to see I know you get all your hit points back for rest, but I don't think there's any way to get your hit points back otherwise, other than the med pack, or if you can use 2 med packs at once. So I'm just not sure about that. Healing after a night of undisturbed rest. So, well, let's use the Oracle. Let's see whether it's going to take them a full day to get out there or not, because they're traveling at sublight here. They are trying to, be cautious. So I'm going to use my Oracle here. 5. No and. So it's definitely not going to take a day to get out there. So she's not going to get that full rest. So maybe they're in a hurry. Rick says, I wish we could give some time to get her to rest. She's a new recruit, and I certainly don't want to lose her for that. He's not sure. You know, they haven't really had the time to bond together yet, to become friends. But certainly he's not cold-hearted or anything. He says, but we have to hurry out there. So that's going to be my no and. And the and is the complication that I kind of wanted anyway. As they're approaching this asteroid way where there's the special gravitic anomaly telescope thingy, they start to encounter another ship moving at them very fast, direct intercept course. And Rick hollers, Doc, because that's what he calls the medical robot. Doc, scan them. So Doc scans them. And that was a success. Definitely. And he says, oh, it's unmanned. It's unmanned. They must have a drone as a protector. So Rick says, oh, I'm going to have to fly and do the gunnery here. So he is going to have to make a piloting roll, and he's also going to make the gunnery roll. So let's see. Oh, we have to see if he goes first or if the drone goes first. Now, the drone is +2, but he is +6, which is his piloting and which adds the handling bonus for the ship. So he's pretty good at this. He's +3, and I think the ship is +3. I used the better ship, I'll be honest with you, here from the main rule book. It's the same one that Solo's character, Nash Duncan, uses. So let's see who's going to go first. So the enemy will be the darker die here, the darker blue. 15 + 6, 21, yeah, and 12, yeah. So Rick is definitely going first. So he is, let's see, he's going to do his pilot roll, and he's going to have to do the gunnery roll. So we'll do them both at once here. Piloting will be the blue, and let's see what his gunnery is. Oh, good, it's a D10. So that's a lot of damage if he hits. And make things quicker for yourself. Roll all your dice at once if you can. And then let's see, then the enemy's going to be able to get to go. And what do they do for their damage is a D8. So we'll be able to resolve this this first round really super quickly. Oh, good. Good on the piloting. And good on the gunnery, and that does 8 points of damage to the drone. And Rick says, ha, got him. It's a good thing they're not armed. We can, and the doctor says, yes, fire at will. But his ship, the Alpha Dawn, takes some damage also. Okay, so the drone does get a hit. So let's see how the second thing goes. Okay. Successful piloting roll. But yeah, no, he hits. He hits for 2 points there. And in the comments, Solo can tell me if I'm doing, SOLOSPELUNKING can tell me what I'm doing wrong, because I'm sure I'm missing a couple of little quick things here. I didn't want to slow things down too much. I want to keep the action moving. So, he is piloting and trying to juke, but they are definitely exchanging laser fire. It is a battle here. So the piloting, I think, is going to determine who hits first here. All right, he doesn't make his piloting roll, so I don't even need to worry about that. Did he make his hit roll? No, but the enemy did. And Rick says, Doc, we're in bad shape. Can you maybe try to do some patch-up work here? So Doc is going to try that using mechanics, but he also gets an advantage on that, so that's good. And if he is successful, he's going to be able, I believe it's a D6. We'll say it's a D6. So is he successful? Yes. Oh, he restores a whole 1 point of damage to their hull. I'm trying, but you're moving around so much, I just can't get it. And Rick says, oh, well, we'll see what we can do here. So let's give it the roll here. Now I should be looking, does Rick get any kind of bonus for his shooting? No, but that's okay. He hits the other vessel for 4 points of damage, and they do not take damage. So some quick flying based on Rick's abilities here. And I'm not sure. Let's see. Well, we'll let the doc do another roll here to see if he can do any quick repairs. Can Doc do any quick repairs? Yes, he can eke out another couple points here. So at least that's something. And then let's see how all this goes here. And so with the piloting, well, he gets an advantage on the piloting too. All right, well, that didn't work, but he did hit. How much did he hit for? I can't see the dice here. Oh, good. He hit the enemy for 6, and they take, looks like they take 1 point of damage. So their ship is kind of injured here, kind of damaged, but the drone is blown away. And Rick says, "Boy, that was frightening. That was a pretty robust drone there." He said, "You know, without you, Doc, I don't know if your patch up. I'm sure it helped." And Doc says, "Oh, you're just flattering me. I don't think I did all that much." But in any event, they are now going to be able to dock at the asteroid. And what I'm going to say is, I'm going to give Rick a piloting roll here, kind of to see if he can bring the ship in stealthily or not. And he gets advantage on that. 10. So the 10 is, because a 10 in this is a success. 10 or better is a success. And he brings the ship in silently, so they are not fired upon by any outside lasers. If there were any, if the enemy set up any kind of outside laser thing. And I have to grab my map then of the inside. And is this map going to be absolutely perfect? No, but it's a nice visual. And I think anytime you can have a nice little visual for a video, it helps. You don't need this stuff at home. You don't need this stuff at home. Just play with whatever you have or sketch a little map in a notebook. Doesn't have to be pretty. But please, please, please play. Maybe even this afternoon or this evening, whenever you're watching this. Get your dice out. Get rolling here. Now, I'm going to be a little tight on room here. So maybe I'll move my... in fact, this could be a wall. That will work out perfectly because I need a little bit of space here to have things happen. So I'm going to bring the ship in somewhere like this. This is just a little 3D printed ship. I saw somebody put them on one of these, put them on a base and put little stars there, and I thought that was a cute idea. I like that a lot. So we'll bring the ship in here as the ship's not important. I did like this map because it almost reminded me of like the Aliens kind of movie where it would be a space station. And they get out of the ship. And Rick, of course, he asked Tiana, he says, I know you were injured. He said, I'm kind of worried about you. I don't want you to have problems. And she said, well, I'm not 100%. She said, but, perhaps you can use me to, I can still complete the mission here. He says, well, all right, but let me move ahead here and, let me take point for right now. So he is going to go forward. And as he goes forward, there is a laser trap in this hall. Bzz, bzz. Now, what I'm going to do is, I assume he's being stealthy. Since he's a star agent, he's trained in sneaking around and stuff like that. So I am going to let him roll to see if he can avoid this laser trap. And then we'll see what he can do to possibly disarm it. Okay, so 11, so he's good. He avoids the laser trap for the first time. I'm going to say he's going to have to make a second roll here. And if he fails it, he takes a D8 damage. So let me get a D8 there in case he fails. No, 17's good. So he gets past, and he is now going to use security systems to see if he can... disable it. So he has a security system. So like I said, he's stealthy and he can hotwire things and all that. 11, okay. What was the other? 6. So the 6 wouldn't have worked, but the 11 is just fine. So he finds the security system maybe here, the laser trap, and he disarms it. And he says, it should be safe now. So he has them come forward. They all have their laser pistols out. With the exception, the Doc does not have a laser pistol. he can kind of get in, you know, if he needs to and throw people around, but he does not have a laser pistol. That's not part of his gear. And as they do, stepping around the corner, now they know that there's another star empire in this area. The Graylians are two Graylian creatures. I think that, well, let me just do something here. Tiana, maybe, I think while Rick is doing all this, Tiana would say, let me try and perceive. So she's reaching out with her psionics to see if she can perceive. So that's a wisdom, and that she's going to get a +3 to this roll. 19, 22. So she is able to holler a warning. We're not alone. We're not alone. Be prepared. So what I'm going to say is, because she was able to get a nice successful roll on that, I am going to give them kind of a surprise round when they can act, but and not have the bad guys act for this round. I think that's reasonable. You know, the rules for psionics and the Force in SHADOWSPACE are a little, I think, intentionally vague. And what do I mean by that? I don't mean that somebody was trying to. Karsten was not trying to write them. I think what he was trying to do was leave a little bit of leeway for interpretation. And that's a very old school way of playing too, where you don't have to jot everything down. You trust the GM, you trust yourself to, you know, be reasonable and be fair, even if it's just being fair to yourself. So we have the Graylians here, and we are going to get a free round on them. I'm going to call them G1 and G2, and I have their hit points marked down here. And then they have, of course, a leader maybe later, or maybe some more of them. Who knows? Okay, so I'm giving them a free shot here. So let's see what they're going to do. So Rick is using his dexterity. He's shooting, and so is Tiana. And let's see, laser pistols, I believe, are a D8. So they're just going to both roll here and see what happens. Oh, look at that. 4 and 5. Rick knocks one down. And this guy here is, badly injured. I'm just going to put a dice there to kind of do as a countdown dice for his hit points. So, all right, now, top of the round. Rick is going to fire again, but this guy is going to also get to fire. Come on, we'll take him out in one roll here, Rick. Yes, he takes him out, but, you know, things happen simultaneously here. Oh, my gosh, that guy got a good hit in on Rick for 8 points of damage there. Ooh, that's rough, because these are first-level characters. I might have them level up after this. We'll see what happens there. So he is, badly hurt, and Tiana kind of steadies him, and she says, Doc, get up here. We've got to be quick. So he has a med pack, and he has medicine, definitely. So he is going to roll and use that med pack. Now he doesn't have to stabilize Rick, because Rick is not at 0 hit points. But I'm going to say if it works, we're going to let him roll 2d6 for the healing, because he's a doctor. And I don't know, Karsten can let me know what he thinks of this. Oh, we got a 20 there, so that's good. And it was a natural 20, not a dirty 20, as they call it. So definitely we're going to let him do the 2d6. Yeah, so that looks like 7. So that's good. That'll get Rick back up to almost full health. Whew, thanks, Doc. That was a bad shot there. He says, I know. We've got to be careful. And Rick says, yeah, and we've got to hurry. They had to have heard those blaster shots. So he says, oh, there's so many rooms here. Tiana, can you reach out and see? So again, she's using perceive because she's trying to see what's going on. So that's a +3 for her. 8, 11. Yes, she says they're in the big room at the end of the hallway. So they are going to rush up there. This is going to be the big room. It's not all that big, let's be honest. And this map, sometimes on these maps, it's hard to see where the door is. I guess, or maybe they're doing that so you can put the door. So we'll just put a little domino there to be the door. And And as I said, you don't need all this to do solo role play. You know, and like this is just dominoes that I spray painted and put a little clear coat on them. So you don't need fancy things. You don't need a map book. You can just sketch it out. You can use coffee sticks to, coffee stirrers to make things. And let's see what's going on here. So this is where something is going down, and Rick is going to, I think he's going to, let's see, I have to use security systems to try and get in there, but he gets advantage with that. No, even with advantage, he is not able to get through that system. And so I think what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to shoot their way in, so there's no way they're getting any kind of stealth or drop on the bad guys. So he is going to just blast the controls and open the door there. And like Bob Ross would say, oh, it's so much better when you make the noises. And inside here is the Graylian leader. And I'm going to break out that good mini for this. He's a little big for this setup, but it doesn't matter. And then also with him is a human who seems like he's been beat up maybe a little bit. And we're going to make this room a little bit bigger here just to extend it out a little bit. And there's some equipment in here. And there also is in a tank. Now, it's like a vacuum tank. A small creature that looks like those space whales there. And that's just going to be my single blue Lego here, just to represent that. And he also has another guard in here, another Graylian guard, and I have to jot his hit points down here. Okay, and we are ready to roll here. No chance at any surprise here. We're just going to have a straight up first round. So Rick is going to get in there firing his laser pistol. And he is going right for the leader. And misses and takes 7 points of damage. Oh! So, not too good. Tiana is going to, she is going to use her effect ability. So what she's going to do is she puts her hands to her temples. She is going to try and affect that guy so that kind of to throw him off and put him at disadvantage. And she's going to say, Doc, run in and try and get his gun. 14. Okay, so she is successful. So Doc is going to run in here and try and grab the gun. And because she's successful, I am giving him advantage. His melee is +1. So he needs a 9 or better on one of these. 18. So we're good on that. He gets in and he starts wrestling this guy and grabbing his gun. So what I'm going to say is that's going to put him at disadvantage on any shots he makes. All right. So Rick is now going to... While that's going on, he's going to say, you take the leader. I'm going to try to take out the little guy. The one who is guarding the doctor there. And let's see what happens here. Does he take him out? 9, but he only does 1 point of damage. So he gets a shot at him and does heat, but the other guy does not damage Rick. So that is good. So Star Agent 87 does not get damaged. And she is going to go after the leader there with her pistol. She's only +1. She's more of a scientist than a warrior. 20, and there are crits in this game. There are crits in this game, so at least that's something. She'll do 2 points of damage. I believe it's double damage, not maximum. Does he hit her? Oh, no, she didn't get a crit. I'm sorry, she didn't get a crit. Okay, he got the crit. Ooh, he takes her out. She is in bad shape, and let me see how many rounds she has. Now, she has this extra stamina, so when she's at 0 hit points, she rolls 2d4 instead of 1d4. So that gives her 6 rounds before she needs a medicine check. And Doc sees her goes down, but he's, wrestling with this guy. He knows this is going to be a problem. So Doc is going to try and he only does D2 in melee. So I'll just roll D6. 1, 2, 3 is what it is. So he does a 1. He doesn't do anything. Okay, it's up to Rick. It's top of the round here. And Rick hollers, "Give up. There's more of us coming. You're outnumbered." And the leader laughs. "Ha, if there were more of you, you'd be in here." So Rick tried a bluff on him. Actually, let me see. Rick gets an advantage with interaction. Yeah, so he did bluff him. So maybe this guy is unsure. But he's going to be at disadvantage anyway for his shot. So, and I'm going to say that talking. That was a free action. So Rick is getting a shot off here. It doesn't matter. He missed. But this guy's at disadvantage. So he needs, let's see what he needs. He needs a 9 or better on both dice. And does not get it. So because the Doc is kind of wrestling and was grappling with him last round, but that little guy will probably get off a shot. Oh, good. He missed. I was hoping he would miss, because that would not be too good there. All right. So let's see. So Rick went. Doc is going to try and punch this guy out. Let's see what he can do. He only does D2. And let's say that we'll do an oppose roll here to see if he can break free of the grappling and all that. So let's see. Doc does 1 point of damage to the leader, but the leader breaks free. So we're going to say he is no longer at disadvantage. I believe there are grappling rules in there, but I'm not using them because I don't want to look them up right now. Okay, next round. Let's have him go after the little guy. And I think the Graylian leader here is going to go after Doc, to try and shoot at him. So let's see. Let's hope Rick did well. Okay, bad guy did well. And Rick did well too. Or did he hit? So Rick hit him for 1 point of damage. That's poopy. And Rick takes 6. And Tiana's out. So this is not too good. So let's see. Luckily, the Graylian is going after Doc. And let's see what happens here. I'm going to say they're both doing melee damage. I don't know that he'd be able to fire at such close range here. So let's see who gets loose. So Doc gets a hit for 2, and the other guy does not get any damage. So Doc doesn't do lethal damage. He only does knockout damage because he's a Doc. But he takes a punch and just, boom, clocks this guy. Okay. Come on, Rick, next round as he's going after the minion. And let's see how we do. Good. Good. He does a good, strong hit to that minion. Let's see. Then we'll have Doc and the Graylian are still kind of slugging it out there. It's hard for him to fire with this crazy medical robot who's in his way. Oh, and let's see. I think 2 rounds have passed, so I have to count down for Tiana here. We might lose her. I hope not. So we're down to 4 here. So that's how much time. Okay, look at that. He gets a good clock on the alien, and the alien does not, the Graylian leader does not get any hit there. Okay. Next round for Rick and the little guy. Does Rick hit? Yes, that 3 takes out the little guy. Oops, I didn't see what the damage was from the little guy. So Rick is down as well, but so is this little guy, this alien. And again, they were probably firing to stun. I don't know that they do necessarily have to do killing damage here all the time. And let's see what happens with Doc and the alien leader. Doc says, I can do this all day. Oh, yes. Let's see. All I need is 1 point of damage. I've got 5. Doc clocks them. Oh, and I have to see how many rounds Rick has here. 3 rounds. Oh, we'll just put the 3 right there. So Doc rushes over, and he's going to use his medical skill to stabilize. That probably takes Tiana down to 3. I haven't been really good about keeping track of the time here. So Doc is like, oh, gosh, everybody's out. So let's see if he can stabilize everybody. And he has his med pack. So this is for Tiana. He's at advantage, so he needs, let's see, with his intelligence. He's got it. Yeah, no problem. So he stabilizes her at 2 hit points. And then let's see what happens here for Rick. Yeah, he stabilizes him at 5. It's good to have a doctor in the party. Good to have a medical program robot. Oh, he says, Rick says, we're struggling. Oh, thanks, Doc. Oh, Tiana, and you were hurt again. She says, yes, I know. I'm going to need some time for healing. So they get in there and they tie up these guys. And and Dr. West, oh, thank you. They had him handcuffed. He said, I wasn't able to do much. And they forced me to do this. He said, they captured this small whale here. We have to release him. Have to get him back to his parents. And Rick says, that's fine. We're going to get back to the ship. Bring the tank with you, and then we'll do that. So they are rushing for time because they don't want that little star whale to die. And let's go back out into space, and we'll think about how we're going to accomplish this. Now, he and Rick and Tiana are in bad shape. And I don't have enough Legos, and I'm not going to go dig through the box for right now. So we'll just let this dice represent the star whale. So they head on out towards the edge of the system, again, right where they came in their ship, the Alpha Dawn, with Dr. Weston. They left the bad guys behind. They are going to approach the star whale. Well, there's no sound in space, but maybe they would hear that through their radio waves. And then I would say reasonably, Tiana is going to kind of reach out with her psionics and try to talk to it. So that would be, I think that would be effect, that she's sending out peaceful vibes. We mean you no harm. We're only here to help. So 15, she's fine. She needed a 7 or better. So the creature does not come and bump the ship. You may remember that it was trying to bump the ship before, that it was curious. And they release the small one out into space. And it flies over to where its mother is. And Rick says, we're going to have to go back, and we're going to have to bring those 4 into custody. And then he said, and then we'll go back to the planet and, trying to help you get your lab set back up. And we certainly need some time to rest and recuperate. And that seems like a really good spot to end for today. Oh, let's just have, the denouement a little bit. And Rick is talking. He gets a moment to talk by he and himself with the doc. And he said, well, Doc, I wasn't really sure about having a new partner, but, she is so useful and so good with the psionics and science. He said, maybe this will work out well after all. He said, I'm more the man of action, and she may be more the person of science and peace, and has some skills that could really help us all. And he goes back and does talk with Tiana a little bit too, and he compliments her. And she says, oh, thank you, but I was down twice. He says, I know. He said, I didn't do so well myself. especially in that last battle. They got the jump on us. He said, but we'll get better as time gets better. He said, I think we're going to work very well together. So we are done for today. I thank you for watching. I hope you'll come back and watch more, or watch the first part of this series. I'll have it linked below. And most importantly, go get solo playing. See you later.